fatal heart impacts, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose. Pick a new silver excuse, I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kiri's Show here, and now, whenever we last left off with this series, we had Deku. And well, quite a bit of things have happened. Now, Deku and Kendo, they were currently at her father's house. Kendo, she discovered that her father was killed and half-eaten in the upstairs bathroom where a zombie was. Now, she violently killed the zombie with a sword and was trying to mourn the loss of her father. However, her father was still alive. He just wasn't human anymore. He was able to lunge and attack her and bite her. And Kendo, after freaking out, Deku tried to calm her down. She took a shower and changed into some clean clothes, as Deku himself started to search the house. Now, they currently went through some of Kendo's father's stuff, and Kendo found the old leather jacket he did have. It smells like oil and, let's just say, cigarettes. Now, with that being said, Kendo posed a question. Would leather jackets be good against zombies? Since they're thick, they're actually very durable and they're tough. Along with that, they'd be hard to bite through. Now, Deku, he was interested in this idea. Along with that, there's the fact that you could put leather armor or even metal pieces over the armor in the sleeves to make it harder for zombies to even really get to. Now, they did actually find the dirt bike Kendo's father left in the garage. It was supposed to be a graduation present for Kendo. She was going to come home on the first day of UA and see this gift left for her. However, that day never happened. As planned anyways. Now, the two, they were quickly trying to search for a way out. They need to hurry. They need to see if the other side of the street is still blocked off. If it is, it's going to be very hard for them to get out of here. And really, they won't be able to take this bike. Kendo, she really needs it, along with the supplies they found from her house. They can pack a bag full of partial clothes and partial food, since, really, that's all they can really do now. Now, it was very interesting, and they did actually start the process, as you do currently have Deku. While Kendo's trying to at least pack up everything and put stuff into a bag, Deku, he does walk into the backyard, at least informing Kendo about what he's going to be doing. As Deku, he does hop the fence into the next door neighbor's house. Now, Deku, he does get down low, and he does try to make sure to be careful, as he does walk across the yard and go to hop into the other fence. Deku doing this for a couple of houses and even encountering some zombies, which he quickly does stab in the brain with a sword and move on. Now, Deku, he does find it to be quite sad. What Kendo just went through, he's experienced. He's still hurt by what he did to his own mom. It's just what he saw in there. Her father, he actually attacked and bit her. Sure, he's bitten too, but the fact was that was Toru, back during day 1. Now, Deku, he does actually wonder for a second. His mind does drift. Who else made it out of Class 1A? Are there other survivors besides just them? UA is a big school. It can't be put out of the question. However, there's just the thing. If people don't know the information they do about the quirk malfunctions, and being bidden to activate the infection, then really, what other chance do they stand? They're in a prestigious hero school with zombie heroes. The fact that they got out of there alive proves how lucky they were. They got to the fucking support course classroom, and it was only because of tech they're still alive. And ingenuity. That's what this world is going to come down to. And Deku, he can't help but think, is it really going to come down to the smartest and most cunning people left on the planet against zombies? Sure, they can survive, but is it really that good if they do? Society, if it does one day rebuild, it's never going to be the same. People won't trust each other. If you have a quirk and you've used it, yeah, you're probably going to get shot on sight. It's just kind of bad. And Deku, he can't really just think about that right now. Although Deku, he does try to wonder about the process of burying the dead. Now, it is actually kind of interesting to Deku, in its own sick, twisted way. As Deku, he does get to the end of the block, and see that the area right there, it is actually somewhat blocked. However, there's just a thing. There's space. It's not really a lot, but it should be enough to fit the bike through. Okay, there's just a problem though. Now, Deku does actually go to hop the fence, as he does look in front of the car. There's a bit of room, the way the car is angled. Okay, let's see. Now, Deku does go to look through the passenger window. And he does see that if he does actually put this thing in neutral, he could probably back it up, turn the wheel, and then push it forwards. Meaning that the two could actually speed out of here. Now, as Deku, he does think that there actually where something does walk up behind him and immediately go to grab him. Now, the moment Deku is actually grabbed, he does go to actually throw his hand backwards with his elbow. As Deku, he does immediately smash a zombie as hard as he can with his elbow before actually going to jump forwards. Now, Deku does go to take a few steps before he actually has to go to bring up his hand and go to pull his gun. Deku immediately going to spin around and turn around. As Deku is going to point it outwards, and he does actually get ready to fire. However, he does actually hesitate. As, for a split second, he thought this was a person. Now, it was the way the zombie did shamble backwards. They shambled back and brought their hand up. And then there's the way that they just stood there. Now, Deku, when the zombie does start to shamble forwards on a broken leg, he does actually go to get the sword up. And he does go to slice straight upwards into the head. Now, the zombie's body does fall, as Deku does actually watch the top of the head get sent flying back into the area and smash against a wall. Now, as it does happen, Deku does wonder where it came from. The nearest zombie is at least 30 feet in the other direction. Shit. Okay, I gotta pay more attention. Fuck, that thing got my neck. Now, Deku does start to think, okay, that's a vital thing they have to cover. Bites to the neck are bad. Other limbs and body parts, sure they're bad, but the arteries they have to cover. Now, Deku, he does actually go to look to see if the door is unlocked. Deku reaching out and going to pull the handle of the car, as he does find that the door is unlocked. Now, Deku, he does get things ready, putting the car in neutral and trying to push, and even actually looking inside to see what might be here. Now, Deku, he does find money, coins, and similar things. And he does even actually find a backpack. It does have some stuff in it, but from what he can see, this is some sort of college material or something. Probably upperclassman material. Now, Deku, he does feel bad about what he does do, as he does go to turn the backpack upside down and dump everything out of it he doesn't deem useful. The papers and notebooks and such as that. The entire notebook was full, and the only thing he really does pick up is the pencils and erasers. Now, he does actually double back to the house, going through the backyard and eventually getting to the garage. As Kendo, she does see Deku and asks if the way is clear. After Deku does explain himself, they do actually start to try and think about how to get past the zombies. And there is actually where Deku, he does have somewhat of an idea. The zombies respond to noise, right? And from what he knows, back in the fridge there was a few empty things there, or there was a few bottles. There's beer in there. And Kendo, she does actually like Deku's idea or line of thought. As whenever Deku he does go to walk back inside, he does immediately go straight to the fridge and go to grab 4 different bottles of beer. Or glass bottles. And only one of them, they do actually seem to stand out. It might be a different brand. Now, as Deku he does actually go to set them outside, he does get ready. Okay, the zombies, they're kind of far away. Okay, if I'm gonna track them somewhere, I should track them. Now, Deku does just think across the street will be good. They can push the bike out, open the fence as much as possible, and just get it out of there and then turn it back on whenever they get down the block. Now, they do all get ready. As whenever Deku does go to walk back inside and get the rest of the beer, he actually is going to look in the freezer, seeing if there might be anything in there. Now, Deku, after he does open up, he does see frozen food. And he does actually see the top of something sticking out. He's just going to grab it and go to pull it outwards. As he does find a bottle of, let's just say, whiskey or bourbon. And Deku is quite surprised. Okay, this would be good. Shit, it's cold though. It's covered in ice. And the top is intact. The seal hasn't been broken. Now, Deku, his idea does somewhat fall apart. Alcohol, it is flammable, but is it still flammable even if it's cold? Deku just deciding to put it in his backpack and try to move on. As you actually have where the two, they are standing outside. After taking the bike to the side of the garage, and Kendo actually bring it to the front of the yard, she does get ready with Deku. As the two, they do just start taking the, glass bottles from the pack that was inside the house and just start chucking them across the street. Now, zombies, they do immediately start to respond, hearing the glass breaking and even loud pops. As the moment zombies do start making their way that way, you do actually have Kendo who's just chucking them as hard as she can, and trying to make as much sound as possible. As she actually does go to look towards a car, and you're actually going to just chuck it right at it. As the bottles fly through the air, just smash right into the window. And after cracking it a bit, the alarm does start to go off. Now, Kendo should see that, as Deku he immediately goes from moving slowly to moving fast. Okay, he's going to undo this lock and just rip the gate right open. As Kendo does actually go moving faster with the bike. The moment the two actually do get out, they do go running down the street. As Deku he does use his sword to just cut down zombies, slicing their chest and just pushing them out of the way. Now, Kendo should start to get the bike ready, as the two are running. Come on, start. You know how to ride one of those things, right? I do, yes. Shut up. I need to focus. Now, after Kendo does actually just kick down on it, it does finally start. Before Deku, he does actually go to get on behind her, and she does actually go to pull up the kickstand by just kicking it as hard as she can. As she does actually just push down on the accelerator, or just crank her right hand. Now, they do go lunging forwards, as the sound of the bike can be heard, and they do go flying out of the neighborhood and around the corner. Now, as that does actually happen, Deku does start to at least try to direct Kendo. And yeah, it's gotta be kind of bad. The area does seem to be more clear of zombies, and from what Deku can understand, it seems like they might be getting sneakier. That one basically came out of nowhere. Let's see. Possible places to hide. If the zombies' bodies are more like goo, then that means they could hide. Now, Deku just start to think, wait a minute, there's a problem here. If it's goo, it can be pulled apart. And that means that the zombies, they will break down. but not in the ordinary way. Think of it like rainwater. Where does the rain go? The sewer. Now, Deku, his mind is somewhat confused by this. What would zombies be doing in the sewer, though? Now, as the two are barreling their way down the street, Deku does inform her to take the right. As Kano does actually go moving to the left past a car, she does actually start to drag in between. Her zigzagging between multiple cars that had been left. As Deku does actually go to look towards the right as soon as the two do go to try and go around that corner. The moment the two do, you do actually see the military convoy. And Deku does immediately freeze. As so does Kendo for a second. Now, the men they were actually firing right in front of them. And Deku didn't realize that this was an area close by their area of search. Now, the military people, they do immediately go to look straight at these two. As a man, he did go to get the attention of somebody, and he'd actually go to just pat him on the arm as hard as he can, trying to inform him that there's two people right there. Now, Kendo should just freeze. As Deku, the moment he'd actually see the military guys, he did actually go to reach his hands out forwards and directly right under the handlebars. Deku just cranking down as the two go lunging forwards. And the men they actually go to rack their weapons as they do go to try and follow Deku and Kendo. As soon as the two are actually behind a building or the building is in the line of fire, the men do start to run. And they do try to open fire on Deku and Kendo. Now, Kendo, she does ask Deku if he can even see, and she's going to try and bring her hands up and try to at least throw Deku's out of the way. And as soon as Deku he actually does let go, he is going to grab onto the back of her shoulder, as he is going to actually try to pull his weapon and go to spin back around. Now, Deku can see the muzzle flashes of their weapons, and he's just thinking, okay, you have to keep zigzag, move, get out of the way. Now, Kendo is kind of panicking. She has to try and get in between cars and dodge bullet fire from military guys. Deku could just use to calm the fuck down for a second, okay? Now, the two, they do eventually get away. As the military guys, they do actually start to try and head that way. Meanwhile, we actually have Deku, or Kirishima and Mei, who they were actually able to hide out and get to the library safely. It's about 30 minutes away from Kendo's house. And the two, they actually haven't gotten into the building yet. They want to clear this building and have it ready for them to be here, but that seems more risky with just the two of them. Now, it does seem kind of odd. The building looks to be 3 or 4 stories tall, and then there's the fact that the windows, they are barred, so they feel like people must have been in there. Now, it does just seem kind of strange. If people are in there, what are the chances of them still being humans? One of them must have been infected when they went in. So what do they expect? No. They do just continue to wait. As you actually have Deku, his voices ring out on the radio. Kirishima immediately going to jump for a second. He's going to reach down and try to silence the radio for a second. Or turn down the volume, hearing Deku's voice. Now, he doesn't actually hear what sounds to be just something smashing against something else. He doesn't know what that sound is. It's like someone smashing a shoe against the wall. And Deku is just trying to scream through the radio, along with that engine roaring. Did the two find a car? Now, Deku is trying to inform Kirishima. Wherever they are, they need to get the hell away. They're heading for the library and they're going to try and lose these guys. Now, they don't really know what to say. As Deku is trying to inform them, they ran into the convoy, and the guys, they're not friendly. They immediately open fire. Their theory was right. Now, you do actually have where Kendo shall go to throw her handlebar directly in front of her, with her left hand as the two do go barreling down the street. Now, the two are just a few blocks away from the bookstore that Deku is trying to get to. Now, as the two are actually going down the road, you do actually have where Kenoshi has actually noticed that the hill that they're actually about to go up If she's correct, this is the one that usually would go down a lot. It's somewhat of a steep hill. And she does actually get an idea. Now, as soon as the two are on top of the hill and do go over, they do actually see exactly how high up, or at least how far downhill the bike could go. Kendo actually going to cut off the engine as she is going to at least move forwards and get ready. Bringing her hand up on the brake and at least being sure to slow themselves down as they do go down. Now, the two, they do go downhill pretty fast, and at least, let's just say, somewhere around half a mile, or closer at least 3/4 of it. The two being able to cruise down a bit of ways before Kenoshi actually is going to pull into a place where they would be able to hide. Now, Kenoshi has actually pulled into a parking lot as she has actually not put the kickstand down on the bike. As soon as the two do pull in the parking lot, she is actually just going to lay down the bike and get ready. The two, they actually just lay against the concrete wall. And there is actually where Deku, he is actually switching through channels. Okay, come on. Okay, I remember the number. Okay, let's see. 1, 0. This being where Deku, he does click into the right channel, and then he does actually go to quickly turn on the volume. As he has us bring up the walkie-talkie, and him and Keno can hear the following conversation. What? What do you mean you lost them? Sir, the two people we saw, they just blew right past us on a motorbike. Are you serious? The fact that survivors are still left within the city is a major problem. Sir, I understand. We sent men out to try and apprehend them. However, the two, they must be able to navigate the streets better than us. The areas that are not within our search range, or at least are in our blind spots, they're too heavily dense with cars. By the time our bikes got ready to chase them down, they already got away. I don't want to hear excuses. You said the two were young, correct? Yes, sir. What were they wearing? Now, the men do try to describe Deku and Kendo. As the two, they do just look at each other. And it's actually kind of surprising. The guy, he and his men are scolded because the fact was, with how much ammunition they blew through, they didn't even hit a single target. And even then, a flesh wound maybe, that would have been best. If the two are still alive and have made it this far, there's a possibility that they might be immune. Now, this is actually kind of surprising to the two. They do just look at each other. Do they really think that this is how it works? If people survive for long enough, they're just immune to the virus? Now, Deku, he does actually feel like he should try to correct this. However, he knows that it's best that he doesn't. Now, the two, they do continue to listen in. And after, let's just say a couple minutes, the search is given up. And the men, they do return back to their post. Now, the two, they do continue to wait out for, let's just say, another 10 minutes, as they're both just laying against the wall. It seems like the zombies, yeah, they don't really come around this area. The two, they are quiet because of the echo. But even then, there should have been something there. Now, Deku, he actually does go to bring his hand up onto the wall and go to put his head over, checking to see if they're clear. Now, it does seem kind of strange. They might be clear. Wait. Okay, hang on. What is it? Something's not right here. Look at this. Now, Kendo is going to pop her head over, and she doesn't see anything weird. It's just an empty street. Now, she does look at Deku before Deku does continue to stare at the street. And Kendo, she's kind of confused, looking back at the street and then back at Deku. Before it just click on her mind, she does go looking back at the street. There's no zombies here. There are no zombies here. That doesn't make sense. Now, she does actually look towards Deku and ask what happened. I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I said I don't fucking know, okay? Now, she does actually get surprised at Deku. but she does actually understand it. She doesn't know anything either. So why did she think he knew anything? Fuck, okay. No. Deku, he's kind of concerned. And there is actually, whenever Deku, he is staring at the street, he does see a shadow pass overhead. And it does make a bit more sense. There's no zombies on the ground, but whenever you look up, there's some up there. Now, it's actually very surprising. Deku and Kendo, from looking at this, it's horrifying. Now, they must have gotten lucky. With all the sound echoing, they must have just done it. There's probably a fire nearby. They can smell the smoke. And these things, they're pretty clearly a different variant. Now, Deku, whenever he does look up, he does see a jumbled mass of flesh atop one of the buildings. And whenever a creature does actually pop its head over, it does actually go to spread out giant fleshy wings. And it does go to look down. And Deku actually is going to duck his head down as he does at least try to pay attention to it. Now, Deku does try to make notes. Okay. Shit. Why the fuck is this like this now? Why the fuck are there different types? Why couldn't it have been just fucking simple? No. Deku, he's trying to process it. The fact is, they're running into something that can fly. That's horrifying to think about. If it can fly, it's got to be able to reach speeds fast enough to do so. And it's carrying a human body. That means it's got to get pretty fast. Even on the dirt bike, they probably couldn't outrun it. Now, Deku, he does try to wonder. And he does just think, okay, there's the entrance they just came in right here to their left. They can try moving. There's got to be another exit. There has to be. Now, Deku and Kendo, they do start to look around. And very carefully, they are stepping on the area to try and see. Now, it does somewhat become apparent to them. They're going to have to at least go up a few levels. However, as they would do that, there is the increased risk of that thing getting to them. Now, they're trying to understand it. How can that thing fly? It shouldn't be able to do that. Now, the two, they do actually try to wait it out. See if it will go away and they can at least walk away with the bike. Now, it doesn't really seem to be working. And there is actually, after about, let's just say 30 minutes, where Kirishima and Mei, they are getting worried. The last they heard, the two were in a gunfight. And running away from the military? That's gotta be bad. Now, the two, they know they're kind of screwed here. If it comes down to it, one of them would only be able to get away. That thing, if they're lucky, could only carry one person. And really, it's kind of messed up, but both of them are kind of having the same thought. If it comes down to it, would they have to sacrifice the other one to save their own skin? It's just a thing they'd rather not think about. Now, we actually do have Deku, where whenever the creature, it does actually come down and move down to the wall, Deku actually tries to get a good look at its wings. Whenever he actually is going to reach his hand up onto the concrete and lean his head upwards, he does look right at it. However, it seems to be unable to see him. Now, Deku, he's kind of intrigued, but at the same time he's also still horrified at this thing. Its wings, they're massive. And even then, let's see, with how large it is, he can't really tell, it's too far up there. Now, Deku is wondering though, this thing, it must be its territory. And, no wait. Okay. Let's try to figure this all out. Okay, the law of nature. A bird, it has to have Feathers. Wait a minute. Now, Deku, some things do start to click in his mind. That thing, it might be able to climb walls. But other than that, what type of quirk could it have? Now, Deku does look right at Kendo. He knows its wings are big and they look thick. But that's just it. Those wings aren't made for flying. Now, Deku, he does immediately do one thing. Walking right over to the bike and going to pick it up. And Kendo should just stare at Deku, as he does go to actually do one thing. He goes to pull his gun out of his waistband and immediately going to point it directly at Kendo, before turning it around and telling Kendo that he has an idea. What are you doing? Listen to me. I have an idea. I need you, whenever I come right through this gate, to shoot that thing in the fucking head as many times as possible. Are you crazy? I just might be, but I have an idea. That thing, it can't fly. What? You can't be serious. Of course it can. Look at it. No, look. Deku pointing upwards. As she does notice that something whenever Deku just pointed out. The broken windows up there. They've got to be footholds. And then that thing. Everywhere below where the buildings are, where certain buildings, the lowest one at least in their area, it doesn't at least have, 2 or 3 of those floors punched out with windows. So that's got to be it. They didn't think about this before because they were so distracted by it. But it can't fly. Now, Kendo, her doomed, feeling, does go away. And Deku, he does at least confirm to her that they can either try and lure it into here to kill it, or they can try and at least get it to follow them on the ground. And if they could probably try and circle back to the military, and they could deal with it themselves. Now, Kendo, she does try to think about that. Did he really just say that? You want to try going back to them? I know. It sounds messed up. But we can't tell how large that thing is. It's got to be the size of a lizard from here. So imagine how big it actually is, up close and personal. Now, Kendo, she does hate the idea. But Deku, he's somewhat right. They would either try to kill it themselves and fail miserably, or have them die trying to take it out while they run away. Now, Kendo should at least point one thing out. She's driving. And Deku does at least go to agree, as Kendo actually is going to pull her gun out and hand it over to Deku, telling him that don't even try to waste time reloading. Now, the two, they actually start the engine, as the loud echo can be heard through the parking garage. And the creature, it might as well have just heard a dinner bell ring. Now, it doesn't mean they go to fly or glide down onto the garage and smash down. The two hearing that large thing as Kendo does get ready. Her peeling out of it and going right to the left further down the street. The moment she does go halfway down the street, she does immediately go turning to the right and directly into an alleyway. The creatures that did see movement, it did immediately go lunging that direction, smashing right into the alleyway, as the two, they did go right down it to the left and directly right through it. Now, the creature did try to force its way into the alleyway, as Kendo should at least bought them some time driving down the road. Now, she is trying to think as there is wind flowing right through her hair, and Deku, he's at least trying to, make sure that he can see. Now, Deku is trying to inform her, as he is looking back, that they've got some good distance, at least 150 meters. Now, as Deku does see the creature come out, he does actually realize something. It's got to be at least the size of a car right next to it. Now, the two, they do continue driving, and Kendo, she's trying to remember. Okay, the military guys, they broke the city down into sections. And from what they understand, those guys were at least, section 8 or somewhere around 11? Okay, the one they're currently in, it's got to be one of those numbers. So they'll run to them eventually. Now, The two, as they are driving by, they do actually encounter something. After trying to maneuver and stay away from this creature, it does continue the chase. As there actually is one of the military men, they do immediately catch up to these two. After they heard a bike roaring, they immediately just pulled trucks in front of the way and tried to block off the street as best they could. Now, it was basically parking a few bikes there and at least a truck with a turret. As whenever they did inform these two to stop, the two they did continue. And the men, they did at least try to inform them again, stop or be shot. As the two were still driving, they did at least slow down a bit, before the large creature did actually come barreling its way directly through the area. It smashed around the corner and directly pushing a car into a building. Before the men did look at that thing, and the gunner immediately turned his turret from them directly towards the creature and started firing, as it just took the machine gun fire and kept rushing towards them. Now, the men, they do immediately go from aiming their guns at these two to trying to aim towards them, and there actually was Deku. The moment the men did actually go aiming towards those two, or towards the creature, Deku, he immediately hopped off the bike, running past one of the guys and going to grab something off of his belt. Deku going to grab the guy's handgun and ripping off the belt he does have. As the guy, he immediately did stumble and actually go to turn, trying to punch Deku, as Deku, he did immediately go to turn and directly punch him right as hard as he could. Now, the moment that actually happened, Deku, he just took off the guy's belt and pulled it off. As Deku ran over to one of the other bikes and immediately hopped on and turned it around, flying by as fast as he could. Kendo doing the same thing. Now, the guy, he's on the ground. Him going to get up and get his rifle. As the moment he actually go aiming for Deku and going to actually get his hand ready, setting it to full auto or semi-auto, he does go to wrap his finger around the trigger. And he'll take the shot in 3, 2, him immediately being smashed against a Humvee. As the creature, it directly caught up to them. Now, the guy, yeah. Him and his unit, they're kinda fucked. As you do actually where Deku, he is holding up the thing in his hand as he is actually driving the bike. And Kendo should just see that. Now, Deku, whenever the bike is actually straightened out, he does try to get this thing on. Him actually going to throw it over one of his shoulder and actually going to bring up his other hand. As he does click the belt together and continue driving. Now, Kendo, she doesn't want to admit that, but that was pretty badass. Deku just stole a belt from a military guy, and he punched him in the face. Damn, this guy's intense. Now, with that being said, the two do actually get to the library. As Kirishima and Mei, they're very surprised, asking exactly where these two have been for the last 2 to 4 hours. And the two, they do try to explain, as they do actually hide their bikes in the alleyway behind the library, talking about how they've done a lot. They might have just took care of the military guys who were after them, along with even solving a problem that would have popped up later. Now, they don't really have much time to explain, as all 4 of them do just stand outside of the library. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. Have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.